Belinda watched as Carolyn's expression began to soften. She sighed and closed the book. "All right," she said. 10 minutes. "Thanks, sis," said Corthie. He passed the kitten on his lap to Belinda, who took it and held it up to her face. It was so beautiful, she thought. A little bundle of fur, bright eyes and claws, and it was hers. She hugged it to her chest, but it squealed and wriggled in her grasp. "Not too tight," said Carolyn. "They're fragile." Belinda nodded and relaxed her grip. The kitten launched itself into her arm and scrabbled up to her shoulder, where it started to play with her long dark hair. She smiled. She had never been so happy. Falls of Iron. Western Catacombs, 1st of Abranch, 5252. Belinda awoke and opened her eyes. The morning sun was already straining to get through the shutters, and the air in her chamber was warm and humid. She pulled back the thin sheet and sat up, then selected some clothes from the neatly folded pile sitting by her bedside table. She washed, dressed, then sat back down on the bed again, her eyes scanning the mattress. Where was Naxor? She felt the familiar ache in her chest reappear, the same ache that she had felt ever since the demigod had left the Falls of Iron to find and help Sable. For 19 days she had waited, and each morning when she awoke in the large bed she hoped that it would be the day he would return. Then each night she would cry, alone in the dark room, her hopes dashed again. There were only 2 alternatives, she reasoned. Either he was dead, or he had run off with Sable Holdfast. What troubled Belinda was that she didn't know which was worse. If he had died, then at least she wouldn't have to imagine him in Sable's arms. But maybe she had manipulated him. Maybe she had used her dream powers to seduce him, in which case he would be innocent. Tainted, but innocent. Either way, he wasn't where he was supposed to be, with Belinda, sharing her life and her bed. She raised her left hand and gazed at it. She was desperate to show Naxor her new power, especially as he had doubted that Carolyn had been telling the truth. Belinda had been starting to doubt it too, though she would have never told anyone, and as the days had passed, her doubts had grown. She smiled, concentrated, then watched as small sparks appeared at her fingertips, little arcs of lightning that jumped from finger to finger. She glanced at a candle on the table that she had been practicing with the previous evening, and the spark shot out, lighting the wick. It was a small start, she knew, but the joy it gave her helped balance the loss of Naxor's absence. Carolyn had not been lying. Her powers were returning, and the ability to spark was only the beginning. She closed her eyes and slowed her breathing, focusing on feeling out her mind. She felt her vision powers, battle, line, and range. No inner vision yet, which was possibly the power she was most looking forward to having restored. The intricacies of speech still tripped her up, and there were times when she failed to understand the true meaning of what people said to her. She had stopped assuming that everything was to be taken literally, and had ceased asking for clarification, conscious that it made others look at her in a strange way. So instead, if someone said something cryptic or shrouded in irony, she would often remain silent, rather than reveal her incomprehension. Inner vision would allow her to read the genuine intent hidden behind the words spoken by others, and she would finally be able to know what Naxor really thought of her, without having to rely on the things he said. Her healing powers were also unchanged. She focused on her body, trying to feel out every inch, from her toes to her fingers, and sensed the energy buzzing through her, the same energy that meant she was destined to live forever. Nothing had changed elsewhere in her mind, though she was unsure how death, stone, and flow powers would feel. Presumably she would know when they had arrived. Her nascent fire powers, on the other hand, were budding. The ability to spark had come first, but she felt it was only a matter of time before she would be able to control fire as well. She opened her eyes and glanced at the candle burning on the bedside table. She smiled. She could feel the flame, sense it within her, even without the power to move it. She extinguished it with her fingers, her self-healing immediately soothing the singed skin, then stood. There was a scratch at the window shutters, and she opened them, letting in the stray castle cat that had taken to coming into her room every day. He was a silver-grey tom, thin but strong-limbed, and his head